Ladies and gentlemen, the season is here. We've made it all the way to week 1. Today on Player Profiler, we're going to be giving you our breakouts and busts, guys who we think are going to rise and fall throughout the season. Enjoy the ride. All right, Evan, what is going on, my guy? Today we've got a very fun show. We're going to be giving 4 players, two guys that we think are going to rise as the season comes along, and 2 guys we think might be falling down. But before we get going, Evan, you want to say what's up to the people?
Yeah, what's up? Super excited to be here. We're going to be doing the show with Chuck all season, and can't wait to get into it. And super excited for week 1 as well. We've been waiting such a long time.
We absolutely have. We've been putting the work in. If you guys are new to the channel, we would love for you to like and subscribe. If you guys are longtime listeners, thanks for sticking around. We're going to be serving this up every week, all the way through. It's what we live for. So let's just hop right into it right now. I'm going to tee us off with my first guy here. And what do we do all offseason, Evan? We want the next blank. We want the next Bucky. We want the next Laporta. We want the next Puka Nacua. Well, I've got my favorite pick to be the next Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey, and it's not Travis Hunter. It's not Tetaroa McMillan. It's not Isaac Tesla. Give me Matthew Golden, number 0, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Player Profiler seasonal rank of wide receiver 35. Now, each of those 3 guys that I mentioned, they broke out in different ways, right? Lad got dialed in by a great quarterback play. Neighbors got force-fed more targets than any rookie wide receiver ever. And Brian Thomas was winning down the field and in the end zone. I think Golden has an opportunity to combine all 3 of these. It's been quite a roller coaster from when he got drafted to now, but he's checked every box you want. And he changed his number from 22, which I hated. So I'm always trying to find little which ways to win. I try to take a bird's eye view of this offense, and I really like everything that Green Bay's done over the last 2 years. The biggest reoccurring criticism with their entire wide receiver room has been route running, lack of explosive plays down the field, and winning at the catch. They drafted a guy in the first round that can do all of that, 4.29 speed. Let's flash him up here. Look at this. Look at this handsome young devil who's about to make us all a little bit of money. He's got excellent 99th percentile speed score, 40-yard dash, everything you could want here. So how are you feeling about Matthew Golden as we get ready for 2025?
I would say that I am high on him, not the highest. There are some people out there, draft him in the 5th round. I'm not quite doing that.
Okay, no, I'll put my hand down for that. I won't be doing any of that, but yeah.
But yeah, absolutely love him, especially as a target in like ESPN leagues where he's ranked very low. And with all rookies, we should expect them to get better as the season goes along. So currently for week 1, I only have him projected as the wide receiver 43. But as the season goes along, we should expect that to rise significantly. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if come week 14, 15, 16, he's projected inside the top 24.
Definitely. This is a guy we want. It's always going to be a slow burn with these rookie wide receivers. I posted something today just looking at the week 1 performances, which is going to shape, a lot of people, unfortunately. And I get how that happens. But if you just track the big dogs from last year, Marvin Harrison Jr., 0.9 points in week 1. Malik Neighbors, 9.1. Rome Odunze, 1.6. Brian Thomas, 12.7. Worthy, 19.8. And Ladd, 12.4. So it was actually the guys that went towards the end of the first round and even the beginning of the second that did well. So potentially could bode well for our guy here. And then just looking at the passing offense as a whole. Now, they struggled a lot last year compared to the previous year because of injuries, because of guys coming in and out of the lineup, drops, what have you. Still 8th in EPA per play, 6th in EPA per pass. And that was with Love dealing with a thumb, groin, and an MCL sprain. I looked back at 2023 a little bit more. 5th in EPA per pass, 4th in EPA per play, and 6th in ADOT. I think that's what they want to be a little bit more closer to, and I think that's why you draft a player like Golden. Let's look at a couple quotes here. Jordan Love, he's going to be a guy where we're going to be trying to get the ball as much as possible. Jaden Reed says he's got what you can't teach. Those are things that I love to hear. And so before we get out of here on this player, I'll ask you, how does the drafting of Golden to the Packers impact how you look at the rest of their wide receiver room?
Well, I think it definitely lowers the floor of the other receivers there. I still like Jaden Reed quite a bit, and he is questionable for week 1, but if he plays, I like him over Golden. Just because he has the veteran experience. I think he might play over Golden to begin the season. And he's just got such an explosive skill set. It's always the does he run enough routes narrative,
Yes.
which really pisses me off because I absolutely love Jaden Reed, and
Yeah.
they just refuse to keep him on the field.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then Romeo Dobbs, he's just a guy. He should be actually somewhat startable this week if you're in a really deep league.
Yep.
That Packers Lions game should be really explosive.
Yeah.
And Dontavian Wicks, who cares?
Mhm.
Point he kind of just killed him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a lot of those criticisms I mentioned at the top of this about route running, separation, a lot of that applies to the other guys outside of Reed. Reed,
Yeah.
like you just mentioned, it's really just been a usage thing, and he's shown that he's probably going to be a pretty damn good running mate as opposed to maybe being that guy. And with Tucker Kraft still in the mix as well, I just really like what they're doing. I expect this to be a top offense this year, and
Hmm.
expect Golden to be a big part of their plans, especially once we get into late October, November, December, and really just picking up steam.
Yeah, I will say that Jaden Reed was one of the best receivers last year versus zone coverage, and I think we should expect Golden to be more of their man beater. So now they have kind of a yin and yang going there.
Exactly. They're taking guys and they're putting them in the best possible roles, which, Matt LaFleur, one of the best play callers in the league, one of the best schemers. So
Hmm.
I really trust what they're doing there. Let's get on to our next guy here that you picked. Going to be a fan favorite of mine throughout the entire offseason. I love everything that's happened for this player from the beginning of week 1 last year all the way to where we are today. Tell us about who you have up next.
Yeah, I love Jordan Mason this year. I think he's going to be a breakout, especially as the season goes along. And it starts with a negative Aaron Jones case for me. Last year in 2025, Jones regressed significantly as a runner in yards per carry, yards created per carry, juke rate, breakaway run rate, basically all of the advanced metrics that we look at for running backs.
Mhm.
As a straight runner, Aaron Jones got significantly worse at. Now he's 30 years old, about to turn 31, with a lot of minor injuries, hamstring strains, stuff like that throughout his career. We shouldn't be shocked at all if Aaron Jones is just completely washed as a runner. I still think he's a good pass catcher. But Jordan Mason, meanwhile, put up great numbers in all of those metrics I mentioned. And I just think he's going to eat Jones's lunch when it comes to
Mhm.
running the football. And O'Connell will notice that as the season goes along, give more carries to Mason and fewer to Jones. He's not really a pass catcher, which isn't what we want to see, but he is a good runner behind a good O line in a good offense that I think should be fairly run heavy. So I have him as a back end RB2 over the second
Mhm.
half of the season. And if Jones was to miss time, I think that could go higher to maybe a high end RB2.
Definitely. I think that this is someone who's auditioning for the starting Vikings running back role for 2026,
Yeah.
2027, especially if he's able to carry over his play from San Francisco, where he was a top 6 running back for the first third of the year last year. Injuries got in the way a little bit. He was excellent at getting to the next level. And now he goes to a team with all the things you mentioned about Aaron Jones, I think are factually true. And I don't think there's any which way around it. We're just waiting to see how much it accelerates.
Hmm.
So he will still be on the field for sure. He's always got that big playability and pass catching ability. But this is a team with a rookie quarterback that has made it clear with their investments in the offensive line that they want to beef it up between the tackles. And I'll throw these stats back up here for Mason. And if you look at the efficiency numbers, I mean, true yards per carry, yards per touch, juke rate, explosive rating, breakaway runs, top 10 in all of these categories.
Hmm.
And so, a lot of people might point to that and say, well, it's a Shanahan RB. He's done that with guys who, aren't even playing in the league anymore. Those guys were not putting up these kind of efficiency metrics, and they weren't doing it over the course of more than half of the season. So I think
And
we're
this is
dealing with a
Kevin
different.
O'Connell.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
Kyle Shanahan, but it's Kevin O'Connell. He's pretty
Mhm.
awesome too.
Yeah, you could not ask for him to go to a much better environment for somebody to succeed. And they've tried, right? They've been trying to get that 1B. They traded for Cam Akers twice. They gave Ty Chandler all the opportunity, Madison, whatever, which way you guys might have it. It just didn't quite shake out. So talk about, we just talked about 2 offensive ecosystems that have earned our trust. And this is a guy who I think is going to fit right in. He has an opportunity from day one to come in here. I am excited for this early skew of games for him. Player Profiler seasonal ranking of RB29, and we could definitely see that climbing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Over the first half of the season, maybe not the first half, the first month of the
Mhm.
season, He might not see enough snaps to quite pay off. He'll have to score a bunch of touchdowns, but I expect that snap rate to go up significantly as the season goes along.
Definitely. And, not to poo-poo on a guy who's done a lot of good for me, but with Aaron Jones in the mix, I think the biggest, voodoo way you could look at this is he played a healthy full season last year. That's probably not what you want if you're looking for Aaron Jones this year. It just kind of feels like that's the way that the seesaw teeters with these running backs. It was a historically healthy year for the running back position last year. I don't expect that to carry over again. So just trying to find guys who could, win you November, win you December, and hoist that trophy up. And I think he fits the bill pretty strongly.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, speaking of fitting the bill pretty strongly, I'm going to go ahead and let the Podfather here. We just released another new fast draft tournament here. And as much as poetic as I could wax about it, he's got it down. So let's throw it to him.
I know your sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate against 9 other competitors. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Oh, to have the enthusiasm and the zest for life that he has in any and all endeavors that he pursues.
Seriously.
So Evan, so I've got promo code Chuck, but if you guys out there are an Evan guy, do you have a promo code for the people?
I think so, but I recommend using promo code Chuck because I'm actually not allowed to play on the platform. So let's throw some funds towards Chuck.
I got you. I appreciate it, guys. And as the season goes on, I'm going to be trying to post these teams that I'm pulling in regularly, just because I'm having just a ton of fun on this fast draft path, and you guys are as well. Now it's time for the non-fun part. Now, that's not exactly the world's greatest segue, but I have to admit I'm not terribly excited for this next segment because I had to do it a little bit begrudgingly. So these are going to be our fallers for the season. And it might be considered mean, Evan, to bring you on for our first show up here and talk about this next guy as a faller, considering everyone in the world is in love with him, myself included, if we're being honest. But I wanted to get you used to podcasting with me. And sometimes that podcast is going to veer off the road at full speed. And for me, guys, it's Emeka Egbuka, and it brings me no joy to say. Player Profiler seasonal ranking of wide receiver 34 and climbing. He has been the most reached player in almost every draft that I've been in. And absolutely has nothing to do with him, has nothing to do with his skill set, his scheme fit, anything rookie-wise, none of that. Conversely, like I talked about with Matthew Golden, Mike Evans averaged 6.5 targets and Chris Godwin averaged 8.8 targets per game when they were on the field together last year. And at some point this season, Chris Godwin will be back on the field. I do not expect a wide receiver that just got $44 million in guaranteed salary to become a rotational player, especially considering we've already seen him come back from injury. He tore his ACL in 2021. He was starting week 1 the next year, and he finished as a borderline wide receiver 1. He was wide receiver 15 in points per game. And I just see too many similarities in Egbuka's JSN rookie year with Metcalf and Lockett, where he showed flashes, but the targets were somewhat few and far between unless a player missed time. And I believe he can still have a nice role, and he probably will eat while Godwin is gone. But that horse is riding back into town at some point, and we know that Mike Evans won't be the one coming off the field.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting case because I do love Emeka Egbuka as a player, and Godwin being out the first month or so does present a chance for him to really produce early. I think what we might be looking at here is a chance to make a profit, specifically in Dynasty leagues. Just watch him produce over the first couple of weeks and then trade him away for a profit. This week he has the Falcons. He should be able to go crazy against them, hopefully. I do agree with your sentiment that Egbuka and Godwin are similar players, and Godwin could just kind of take over Egbuka's wide receiver 2 role there when he comes back. I thought it was really interesting that they didn't put him on IR or PUP to start the season. They're keeping him on the roster, which kind of tells us that maybe Godwin's closer than we thought to coming back.
Yeah, and this is a guy that is, this isn't JSN completely blowing away Lockett because of Lockett's advanced age and deacceleration as a player. mean, Godwin was a top 3 wide receiver last year, and he was absolutely cooking with Baker Mayfield. And I don't expect him to be that player again this year. I don't want to be misconstrued that I think that this is a 2-man team and there's some guy trying to break into the rotation. I just believe that this offense is built to find the open man, and they've got 3 or 4 guys that can do it at any given time. And with a rookie wide receiver, some of these guys are slow burns. And if you combine slow burn with a potentially lower target share, I just don't know if I feel as good where he's going when you look at some of the other players around his ADP peer group. You mentioned the schedule, which I think is actually probably the biggest perk for him. And I like the idea of maybe flipping him for something as the season goes along. At Atlanta, at Houston, Jets, Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers, Lions. I mean, that is potentially 5 top 10 offenses right there, or maybe even better, depending on if there are a few breaks go a few different ways. So could be some early involvement for him. And then once that bye week comes, potentially more rest for Godwin. It's going to be spin the wheel with this offense.
Yeah. And I will say that Ibuka's skill set isn't necessarily one that will produce fantasy points on low target volume. He's not going to be super explosive. He's not going to have the high yards per reception or the super high touchdown rate. He's just a steady target earner that's just going to catch the ball and be super consistent for your team. And if he's not getting that 20% target share, it's going to be really hard for him to be a wide receiver 3 even in fantasy.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing I will mention as well, it does feel cliche, but this will be Baker Mayfield's 8th consecutive new play caller in a row. That is that's pretty unprecedented. And we know the Baker Mayfield cycle: become an underdog, overachieve, have high expectations, underachieve. So, if this was Cohen again, and we knew that we had somebody who was an elite tier 1 play caller running the ship, I might feel a little bit more inclined to feel about an early hot start for him. But new guy coming in, new rhythms, new schemes, new tempos, new sequencing of plays, new rotations. It's just a lot to ask for somebody who's going in the 6th round like he is in redraft leagues. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I do wish him the best. This is one I would love to be wrong on. I'm wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers hat right now as we record this. So hopefully that is the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah. All right. Now you've got one here that I have not seen on a lot of these lists. A guy that I don't feel like has been talked about a lot this year. He's somewhat in no man's land, but he is a potentially pivot player, and it could pivot right or it could pivot wrong. Tell us about your next faller.
Yeah, so this one's pretty spicy. A pretty high profile player. I think he is one of the worst picks you can make in drafts right now, and that is tight end Sam Laporta for the Lions. So the Lions offense is almost guaranteed to be worse this year. They just scored so many points last year that there's no chance that they can do it again. And it wouldn't be a huge surprise to me if they were significantly worse. After all, they did lose 2 starting offensive linemen and an elite offensive play caller, and their defense is now healthy. So that just a lot of things not going their way. Laporta, in both of his first 2 seasons, has had a touchdown rate north of 11%, which is unlikely to maintain over the long term. And while Laporta does look very good by most measures, he's not elite. He's somewhere around the 4th to 8th best tight end by our predictive metrics. In expected points per game, he was the tight end 10 last year on his usage, but he overperformed that because of that touchdown rate. Also, what if Jameson Williams takes another step? What if Jahmyr Gibbs takes another step? Those 2 combined for a 30% target share last year, and that could be significantly higher this year. They were both of them have had their ADPs rise significantly this offseason. So we should expect their target shares to go up as a result. And one guy that they could take away from is Sam Laporta.
Definitely. I think that he's I mentioned the no man's land, and you've got the big 3 at the top, and then you've got him, and then you've got your Hawkinson, Kelsey's, and everybody that follows. And I think that Laporta drafters are thinking that he has a chance to kind of elevate to those top guys, and he's just not going to get the target volume that you need on this offense with these other amazingly elite players. I mean, the most crowded offense you could be in for a tight end right now. And it was really tough. He was my least favorite pick last year as far as ADP goes. He was the first tight end in almost a decade, maybe longer, to be the preseason ADP tight end 1 and finish outside of the top 7. And he was a little bit banged up, but not as much as his late season play might have indicated. Jamison Williams broke out, and he broke out hard. And this has become that offense. This has become Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's become Jamison. It's become Gibbs and even Montgomery. So you might be looking at him being 5th in the pecking order. And everybody's hyping up Isaac Tesla. Is he going to be a thing? I can't say for sure. But what I do know is that somebody's going to be caught holding the bag here. And it feels like it's going to be Laporta as much as anybody.
Yeah, I just don't think it's possible for Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and Sam Laporta to all pay off their ADPs. And the guy I'm going to bet against is the one with a outlier touchdown rate that's playing a tight end position. He's not a guy who gets the design targets or the first read targets, really. He's just kind of reliant on explosive plays and touchdowns. So I want to bet against that guy.
And I think that's a great bet to make, considering that, this was a historic offense last year. And with the coordinator moving on, some shakeups to the offensive line, if anything is going to regress, it is going to be those explosive pass plays. And I think that could really take the floor out from underneath him. And it's really about where he's going, right? If he was going near Ingram, if he was going near Njoku, if he was going near, the rookies, to Warren and Loveland, I might feel a little bit more inclined just because the ADP is breathable. But right now, I think you're drafting him at a ceiling that I don't even think he has.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this week he has a dream matchup against Green Bay, and I have him as tight end 9. I can't get the projection any higher.
Yeah, no, it's tricky. And that was probably before they traded for Micah Parsons, right? Which God knows, what impact that's going to end up having on that game there. That is a swing matchup determining factor right there. And the way he's able to wreck lines and get Jared Goff off of his spot, and it's in Green Bay too. So, it's not exactly setting up for an early season success. And
yeah, that is another thing. A thing going against the Lions over the whole season is that they're going to play a lot less games in domes this year. Last year, they just had a dream schedule. We know that Goff is way worse playing outside than inside.
Yep. And this is just in the first 10 weeks at Green Bay, at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at KC, at Washington, at Philadelphia.
Yikes.
Now, some people look at that and see shootout. I look at that and I see Jared Goff outdoors, just like you said. So, it is warmer months, but I don't know about you guys out there, but I'm putting pants on in the morning already. My summer is done. It is cold weather time, and that means good football.
Yeah, I'm more of a shorts and long sleeve guy in the morning, but I hear what you're saying.
That's they call that the royal look. That's what they do that's what the Royals do over there in England. So you're already flexing on us a little bit in episode 1. All right, so that'll do it for today, guys. We've covered Matthew Golden, Jordan Mason, Emeka Egbuka, and Sam Laporta. We're going to be coming at you guys, like I said, all season long, every week. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. It's going to be a great season. Evan, you have anything to plug before we get on the road?
Yeah, so we just did a big advanced metrics update at Player Profiler. So if you go to quarterback and receiver player pages, especially, you'll see a lot of really cool new metrics. So I can't promote that enough. I think the viewers will really enjoy that. And then besides that, weekly rankings are up, like I mentioned, and you can follow me on X at Evan Ringler FF. I'll be having a lot of data visualizations coming this year as we get this 2025 data in.
Absolutely. And the work you guys are doing, I cannot stress enough how helpful it is, not just for entry-level fantasy players, but intermediate, advanced, just trying to find an edge any which way that you can. I know before I was deep diving into the Player Profiler stuff, I was getting smacked around in my family league, and now I've won it twice in a row. So just to show you guys that another path is possible. We appreciate all your guys' love and support. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers.